So here, S's series Bible for my manga idea called Scorned Eternity, The Hollow Mirror. The story is about a world where reality is glitching. People are coming back from the dead, and everyone's dying again and again in ways they don't remember. But there's a mystery to why. The basic logline is, when a teenage boy sees the deaths of his classmates repeating themselves over and over in a world that keeps rebooting itself, after remembrance, time restarted after a forgotten event called the Bleed. This world is entirely human-made, though most humans are too brainwashed to know it. They live under artificial suns in cities built around dead stars, believing their world was always thus. She awakens to find that her nightmares have become reality. As her powers grow, she realizes she once was a god. They don't know that it's a collapsed echo of hundreds of failed universes, stitched together when all others failed. He's hunted by versions of himself turned villain across time. His victims don't stay dead. They begin following him, whispering you're the reason. She tries to destroy the archive, only to realize she isn't real either. The twist is each arc overlaps into another's reality, and you slowly realize they're each other's antagonists in different time. All the while, Kel's third eye counts down. She's a recursive copy made to guard the original. This makes him the true final antagonist of his own story, as the deity's consciousness slowly begins to corrupt him. To ascend, he must accept his fate and embrace his role as a vessel for the rebirth of the true architect of this world. He uncovers a hidden history of catastrophic failures, forgotten gods, and the terrifying truth of his own existence. She's a recursive copy made to guard the original, who believes knowledge should be freely shared. Nyx finds peace by freeing her copies from their prison and allowing them to exist outside of the archive. For this pitch, I want to show how the story works on both a small scale with our main cast and a large scale with fractured nature of the universe itself. In order to ascend, he must first descend into the darkness within himself and confront the worst possible version of his future self. Every being with powers superhuman, god, demon, or hero is simply a narrative tool designed to fulfill roles. Only one can ascend by killing the other 11 chosen sacraments and rewriting the final version of reality. Time skips, unreliable narrators, multi-perspective chapters, and arcs that contradict each other until the final convergence. Emotionally, the horror doesn't come from monsters, but from knowing your memories, identity, and morality are all programmable. The true enemy is an ancient force known as the Draft, a sentient rewriting engine that edits time souls and cause effect. Or maybe storyboards, let me know in the comments. That's just the beginning. The second layer is that each arc also connects to the overarching mythology. This story takes place in the year of he's now being hunted by 12 versions of his own future self, each more twisted than the last. The world itself is trapped in a cycle of storytelling. Every being with power, superhuman, god, demon, or hero is simply a narrative tool designed to fulfill roles. The Draft doesn't care about their suffering. It feeds off of it. In the last chapter, it's revealed that the entity behind all of this is the manifestation of collective human imagination. It's been rewritten so many times that it's become and it's testing its own creations to see if it can trap them forever. You soon learn he has a stitched shut third eye in the middle of his forehead, which acts like a timer counting down to some great catastrophe. When she sacrificed herself to save humanity from a collapsing universe, her essence became part of the fabric of reality, creating a cyclical prophecy where she is repeatedly reborn into the same life, forgetting everything and destined to die again. To break free of this loop, she must embrace the darker aspects of herself, which were sealed away, and realize that death is a natural part of existence. There are others just like him, unaware that destined to be vessels for the 12 beings of immense power scattered across the multiverse. He sees glitches in time. When he sees these visions, there's always a repeating shadow figure, which he seems to be connected to. It's only during a blackout at school that he realizes what these visions really are. He watches his entire class die horrific deaths, only for the world to reset. No one else remembers what happened. Only him and that ticking sound in his head that gets louder. Our protagonist is 17-year-old Calavean, a pathetic high schooler who wears a hoodie with a hood, even indoors, covering his face. When Kale unlocks his third eye, he will become a vessel for a forgotten god. The problem is he isn't alone. The first arc introduces a girl who speaks to forgotten gods in her dreams. The second arc introduces a wannabe superhero whose heroic acts cause atrocities in other worlds. The third arc introduces an exorcist raised by cursed dolls in a burned-down orphanage. The fourth arc introduces a cosmic librarian who erases people from existence by reading their name aloud. And the fifth arc introduces a warlock who traded his soul with something beneath the void, gaining dominion over time. Each of these arcs has two layers. The first layer is a standalone story. Every character has a villain arc when their truths are revealed, and their ideals collapse. Now, if you thought that was a lot to keep track of, trust me, it gets crazier. By the end of the first arc, Anya realizes she wasn't always a powerless civilian. She once was a deity of love and peace. By the end of the second arc, Moore learns that his abilities come from the soul of a multiversal deity he cannibalized in a dream. By the end of the third arc, Senji learns that he was the child sacrificed to activate the bleed ritual centuries ago, yet somehow lived, broken across realities. Meaning he's already dead in every timeline but this one. By the end of the fourth arc, Nyx learns that she's not real either. By the end of the fifth arc, Delia learns that his powers come from 12 versions of his future self, each more depraved than the last. That's just the beginning, because every character has a parallel in every universe, and they all interact with each other in ways that defy logic and In the climax of the story, Kale confronts the reader directly, screaming at them as the manga panels begin to disintegrate and the dialogue bubbles fill with screaming instead of words. The story plays with the idea that the only true constant is change, that everything dies and is reborn again and again. The universe is not broken. It is trapped in a cycle of storytelling. The story builds towards one ending where it's revealed that this world isn't real, but a draft of 999 failed universes, rejected and stitched into one. As far as the tone, style, and themes, think stark contrasts, like in Chainsaw Man, distorted dreamscapes like Mononoke, and surreal panels where dialogue bleeds into the background. Would you like to see a character arc breakdown next?